Hey guys, so whenever we get a new character revealed, I always like to go over what leaks, rumors, theories, etc. are current because Smash speculation is changing all the time, especially with new big information like that. So we just got Byleth revealed and shortly after released to us, and I know this video has taken longer than usual, but the reason for that is I moved. Yeah, so do forgive me guys, I know this one has taken longer than it usually does. I oftentimes will wait like a week or so just to see what information we find out after a character reveal or something like that. This one's taken a bit longer, so thank you guys for being patient with this one. But the reason is I moved, I have this brand new setup. It's really cool, I'll definitely do like a room tour at some point, but for now, let's just talk what's going on with Smash speculation. So the final character of our first Fighter's Pass has been revealed to us, and it is Byleth from Fire Emblem Three Houses. Byleth is a first-party character, and I think this was really shocking to a lot of people, myself included, especially being a Fire Emblem character, as there was some animosity towards Corrin's reveal back during Smash 4. So this was a pretty big surprise to a lot of people. Sakurai even specifically mentioned that this character was a pretty big secret, and that only some people within Nintendo actually knew about it. Also, we had the Rex Mii costume added as a bonus to the first Fighter's Pass, and given the timeline for when Xenoblade Chronicles 2 came out, the timeline for when Three Houses came out, I think a lot of people thought that a Fire Emblem Three Houses character was off the table, at least for this Fighter's Pass. We were specifically told when the Rex Mii costume was given as a bonus that the reason for that was because there wasn't enough time to make Rex into a full-fledged playable character, and it's just a little surprising that Three Houses did actually get a playable character, and Rex did not become playable due to timing issues. In fact, it seems for Byleth to even be chosen for the Fighter's Pass and worked on, it would have had to happen before Fire Emblem Three Houses even came out, so Byleth might be what's considered a promotional character. This is very similar to what happened with Corrin, where Corrin's game hadn't released in the West yet we got Corrin as a playable fighter in Smash, sort of to promote that game. Three Houses is already out right now, but the timing for choosing Byleth may have been before Three Houses was out. Also, Three Houses just got some new DLC, so potentially Byleth is sort of promoting that DLC. So for those reasons and more, I don't think many people were expecting us to get Byleth at all. And for those wondering, Byleth's codename in the data for Smash Ultimate is Master. I've also seen it kind of translated as Sensei, and since Sensei is like teacher, and I know in Three Houses you're like a teacher, it makes sense. Now, there were a ton of theories about who the fifth Fighter's Pass character would be, and it doesn't seem like many of them were correct, as, like I said, I think Byleth shocked a lot of people. One of the theories that I really thought was onto something was Dayz Theory, basically this image of all the DLC characters and Mario and Daisy. And Daisy just seemed like a really strange choice to put there, so I thought she was sort of a stand-in for our fifth DLC character, and maybe our fifth DLC character would be a female character, maybe look like Daisy, act like Daisy, something like that might be going on. But that one turned out to be wrong. Over on my Discord, Carson M wrote, "Didn't know if anyone brought this up, sent this to the direct chat to see if they thought anything about it, figured you may have enjoyed it as it could have been Daisy hinting at a first-party rep. And she's next to Byleth in the banner now." So if you really want to stretch things, Dayz Theory might have just been pointing at a first-party character, which Byleth is, and there is something kind of interesting that Byleth is next to Daisy on the banner, but I honestly think that's probably just coincidental. Now, another thing we were theorizing about was the picks of the day that Sakurai was tweeting out recently, and honestly, those may still be hints at some future character. I don't know. I think they're still worth looking at, but basically, it doesn't seem like any of the ones we were really following were correct. However, I will point this out. This was a Byleth hint the whole time, if you think about it. And then there's that picture of Kirby, Sonic, and the party ball, and they kind of make three different orbs. I was thinking they might be Puyo Puyo references, but honestly, they could have been a Three Houses reference. It's possible. A theory right before Byleth's reveal was that Sakurai holding up three fingers would be some sort of reference to the character that we'd get. And yeah, that one I think was in fact a hint. Even though it was only about a day beforehand, Sakurai's three fingers obviously were pointing to Three Houses. A very long-running theory was color theory, which lasted throughout most of the entire Fighter's Pass, and we all thought that the final character would probably have a background color associated with orange. However, Byleth actually has a green color. It's a different green than Piranha Plant has, so yeah, color theory actually died with Byleth. Surprisingly, it lasted all the way through and then didn't come to fruition. Theories are always just that, theories. Sometimes they end up being right, like with box theory and the base game roster, and other times they end up being wrong, like with color theory here. It's always kind of a gamble. One theory that did turn out to be true and could prove useful in the future is this artifacting theory, or the Sakurai background theory, whatever you want to call it. Basically, when they make the thumbnails showing off the next Smash presentation and they use a cutout of Sakurai, they actually cut him out from the presentation itself. And if you look closely around him, you can see some artifacting of what's behind him. And sometimes that can be the actual banner for the next character, so we can get an idea of what color scheme might be used for that character. People noticed a brown and metallic green color that was around Sakurai, making it seem like the final character would have that color scheme in their banner. And a lot of people were thinking that would mean Doom Guy. Well, actually, this was totally right. We do have a brownish orange, and we have that metallic green in Byleth's background banner. So this theory may continue to prove useful in the future. If we have some new thumbnails show up for a future Smash presentation, and there's a picture of Sakurai, if we can look at the artifacting around him and we notice any interesting colors in there, those may in fact be on the banner for whatever the next character is, and that might help us narrow it down for who it is. One theory that I personally totally looked over, and I think a lot of other people did too, was the fact that Fire Emblem Three Houses actually got passed over for getting a Spirit event, whereas most of Nintendo's other newer games did get a Spirit event for Smash. That was really hinting to us that Fire Emblem Three Houses Spirits were going to show up with a playable character and not during a Spirit event, which is what happened here. Over on Twitter, @MeltingApplesIf wrote me, "Normally I'm not the type to jump on this kind of stuff, but my friend noticed something kinda odd about the spirits. They've been added post-release. Obviously, tomorrow's character probably won't end up being from Three Houses." Surprise, it was. But maybe one of the post-pass characters. And that's when we would get spirits. Just something to throw into the air. Might not even be something new for you, but it's interesting nonetheless. And then there's an image of a message that says, "Hold up, so Astral Chain, Link's Awakening, Daemon X Machina, Sword and Shield all got spirits, but not Three Houses. This might be something." Over on my Discord, Chrono wrote, "The fact that they avoided a Three Houses event knowing that Byleth was playable is one example of many of them purposely avoiding any overlap between fighters and spirits." And yeah, I will concede, if having a character be a spirit and also a playable character wasn't such a big deal, maybe they would have just given us some Three Houses spirits and then given us more when Byleth became playable. But that's not what happened. They actually held off those spirits. So this is sort of a hit against the whole idea of spirits being upgraded into playable characters. However, here's a pretty good counterpoint. Over on Twitter, @Terracona wrote, "Not sure if anyone's posted this yet, but they can modify old spirit names if needed. Spirits absolutely do not deconfirm." And then there's a picture of Dimitri and Hilda, and now they both say The Legend of Zelda. Before, their spirit names simply read Dimitri and Hilda. This was done because some of the Fire Emblem characters share the same name with those Zelda characters, and they had to modify their names. So basically the theory is that if a character gets into Smash as a playable fighter who is already a spirit, they could simply just modify the spirit to have some sort of parentheses about being from that game series and not the same spirit as the spirit for the playable character. On the subject of spirit events, a lot of people have been recently talking about getting a Gen 8 Pokemon rep. Now, we do have Byleth in the game, and that is a first-party character for a series that just got some DLC, and Pokemon is also getting some DLC for Sword and Shield, so it would make sense. However, I would point out that Pokemon Sword and Shield also did already get a spirit event in a way that Fire Emblem Three Houses did not. However, despite that spirit event, I do think there's a pretty good chance we could get a Gen 8 Pokemon in this next Fighter's Pass. Something like potentially Rillaboom to complete the Water, Fire, Grass Final Evolution starters we have going with Greninja and Incineroar, or maybe Toxtricity seems like a pretty popular Pokemon here for Gen 8, or potentially that new legendary Pokemon, the Urshifu or something like that, the one that was shown off in the DLC trailer. That's a possibility as well. One spirit event we got recently had to do with River City Ransom, which is an Arc Systems game, and some people have been talking about possibly getting an Arc Systems character into Smash now. Potentially Soul Bad Guy from the Guilty Gear series seems to be the top candidate. Essentially, Byleth being our first-party character in the Fighter's Pass, if you don't count Piranha Plant, who was sort of a bonus and seems like they were potentially supposed to be in base game and just not finished in time or something. I don't know, Piranha Plant's a weird exception here. But Byleth's really our first-party character in the Fighter's Pass itself, so a lot of people are thinking the second Fighter's Pass could have more first-party characters. Byleth has really opened that door for more first-party representation in the DLC, and I have a pretty interesting take on something Sakurai said in the Byleth presentation. Over on my Discord, I wrote, anyone think Breath of the Wild Zelda could happen? Sakurai dropped that whole Breath of the Wild Zelda isn't a fighter thing during the Byleth presentation, and we are getting Breath of the Wild 2, which is heavily speculated to involve playable Zelda. The trailer for the Breath of the Wild sequel has Zelda with shorter hair, which might indicate that she's playable and will have different outfits and stuff, and the hair is shorter so that there's no clipping through like hoods and things like that. I could even see this being the Byleth of Past 2, done to advertise a game and more of something we have a lot of. Links and Zeldas. Though I think people would be much more welcoming to more Zelda reps regardless. So similarly controversial to the large amount of Fire Emblem representation we have in Smash is the way the Legend of Zelda series is represented in Smash. Basically, we have 3 Links, we technically have 2 Zeldas with Sheik and Zelda, and we don't ever really get those Zelda side characters. It's always just those Triforce holders, Link, Zelda, and Ganondorf. There was even talk of getting a Toon Zelda character back in Brawl. I think that was something Sakurai almost gave us. So it's possible if Breath of the Wild 2 has Zelda as a playable character, and Sakurai was sort of talking about how the first Breath of the Wild didn't have Zelda as a fighter character. Maybe if the second one does, Sakurai could be adding that in during our second Fighters Pass. It's just a theory I came up with, and I think it has some ground here, so I thought it was interesting enough to talk about. For me, that was the most exciting part of the Byleth reveal, was getting more information about this further DLC. We found out it is in fact a second Fighters Pass. The Fighters Pass is bigger than the first one with 6 characters instead of 5, and we have a release date for it. It's all supposed to be done by December 2021, so we'll be speculating at least for the next 2 years here, which is very hype. Over on Twitter, Push Dustin wrote, Fighter Pass 2 will also feature stages and music. Also on Twitter, Stealth wrote, I've seen some confusion, but Smash Ultimate Fighters Pass Volume 2 is exactly like the first. You get a character, stage, music, classic mode path, spirits. The Japanese Smash site is a bit more updated than the US site, and you can see it for yourself. Over on Reset Era, Imran wrote, what makes people think Fighter Pass 2 will be exclusively or even primarily third-party? That's pretty interesting, as Imran sometimes has very real information, though I think he's just speculating here. I'd like to do a whole video speculating on who I think those next 6 DLC characters might be, and honestly, I could even see us getting a Fighters Pass after this one. I'm not going to count on it, but given that we had that data mine a while back that had, I think, 16 slots, counting Piranha Plant, would mean we'd only need a third Fighters Pass of 4 characters after the second one. I honestly think it's in the realm of possibility here, given how close we are to that. But again, I'm not going to bank on it. But I will do some sort of video speculating on those next 6 characters. However, for right now, let's talk about leaks. Or more specifically, let's talk about leakers. So over on Twitter, Sabi wrote, props to Vergiben for leaking every single Mii outfit before the presentation reached it. Pretty last minute though, LOL. So Vergiben did in fact leak every single one of the Mii costumes, but it was like while the presentation was running, so it was extremely last minute, but still credit to them for doing that. Now I know in the lead up to the Video Game Awards, with Sabi and Vergiben deconfirming a ton of characters, that really soured a lot of people's opinions of them and whether or not they actually had Smash information, but personally I think they did. Honestly, getting Byleth and having all those deconfirmations not feature Byleth sort of gives them more credit if you ask me. Over on Twitter, Sabi wrote, Byleth, hence why all the deconfirmations were right. The secrecy makes a lot of sense due to actually being first party. Can vouch that most DLC leaked via their third-party companies. Now, Sabi's source never told Sabi who the character was, but it makes a lot of sense given what Sakurai said. If this was from within Nintendo and possibly could have been traced back to whoever did leak it out to Sabi's source, then yeah, it was a dangerous piece of information to give out to someone. So even if Sabi's source did know it was a first-party Nintendo character, they didn't want to tell us exactly who it was. Here's the big list of deconfirmations, and yeah, obviously Byleth is not on there. Also, I think this is worth pointing out to everyone. Remember when Vergiben deconfirmed like a ton of stuff and then quickly thereafter backpedaled on it and took a few things off of that list, saying that they misinterpreted what their source was telling them and accidentally deconfirmed more things than they were actually being told were deconfirmed? Well, if you look at that big list from Vergiben, one of the things on it was actually Nintendo characters. So when Vergiben backpedaled on that, they were right to backpedal because we did get a Nintendo character. Also, when that big list was out, Sabi wrote this. Got something juicy, perhaps the last Smash bit before the Game Awards. This is a bit more interesting though. Verge was wrong. That's probably why he backpedaled quickly on that post when he said he was confused. The character seems to be from one of the ones he listed, not the few he didn't. By proxy, that means no Sony rep, for instance. I looked specifically into his list, as I told you I would. That post he made was a fake leak. It's good he corrected himself. So when Vergeben put out that big list of nearly everything that did in fact have Nintendo character as one of the things deconfirmed, Sabi's source told Sabi that that list was wrong and that something on there was in fact what we were going to get. And that was totally true. So I think Sabi's source did in fact know who we were getting, and most likely Vergeben's source did as well, if nothing more than the fact that Vergeben was able to leak those Mii costumes during the presentation. Again, I don't think either of Sabi or Vergeben's sources wanted to tell them exactly who the character was, and that makes perfect sense with what Sakurai was saying and how secret Byleth was within Nintendo. That probably could have been traced back if they had given out that name. Another person I think likely knew who our 5th DLC character was, or at least had a source that probably knew, was Zippo over on Reset Era. Sabi on Twitter wrote, "I would trust Zippo. Nothing he said has conflicted with my deconfirmations, and he's been a pretty honest friend. For those unfamiliar, he's been verified to share some things on Era, and mentioned some Smash teases today." Also, one thing Zippo said in the lead up to the whole 5th DLC character reveal was this: "Is Fire Emblem fully owned? Just want to make sure for future reference. Confused." It's interesting they were specifically talking about Fire Emblem's company ownership in the lead up to the final character reveal here for the Fighter's Pass, as a lot of people were talking about which company it might be coming from, things like that. A lot of questions were going around, especially the leakers like Zippo and Sabi and Vergeben. So trying to get clarification on that when Fire Emblem Three Houses was kind of made by a few different companies like Koei Tecmo is pretty important. That actually does show Zippo probably did know who the next character was, in my opinion. So make up your own mind about what you think of these leakers, but in my opinion, I think those are the 3 to watch right now. Sabi, Vergeben, and Zippo. I think those are the guys who might actually have some connections into Smash that may be able to tell us who our future characters could be. Now let's talk about some leaks that have happened since Byleth being revealed. Over on Smashboards, Smash Operating Buddy 123 wrote, "Check this out." It was a leak posted over on 5chan, which is a Japanese equivalent to 4chan, and it said this: Fighter Pass 1 was supposed to be Hero, Terry, Banjo, Hayabusa, Joker. After Fighter Pass 1's reveal, Nintendo noticed that Hayabusa got leaked, but Fighter Pass 2 was decided fairly soon after Ultimate's release. They decided to move Hayabusa into Fighter Pass 2. This was also because they wanted to keep pace with Koei Tecmo's Ninja Gaiden project development. Fighter Pass 2 was decided before E3, but the lineup was finalized in the summer after E3. Fighter Pass 3 already has been decided, and they are still under negotiations. The character revealed tomorrow is someone from Nintendo who was supposed to be in Fighter Pass 2. So essentially this 5chan leak is saying that Byleth was supposed to be part of Fighter Pass 2, but got moved to the first Fighter's Pass because Ryu Hayabusa was heavily talked about and sort of leaked. I Am Shifty and Brew Elfin have both said that they had heard from a good source that leaked to them Piranha Plant before that Ryu Hayabusa was going to be in Smash as DLC. So it would make sense if this is actually true. If Hayabusa did get moved, Brew Elfin and I Am Shifty would have been right. It's just that the order got changed. There's always been a lot of evidence towards Ryu Hayabusa getting into Super Smash Bros. In fact, here's a new one from one of those pick of the day images. So I could see this 5chan leak turning out to be true. However, keep in mind the only thing it's really gotten correct is the fact that we did get a Nintendo character revealed to us, and that character was Byleth. Also on the subject of Ryu Hayabusa, Storm Owl wrote me this over on Discord. This might be more out there, but Byleth may actually be partially a Koei rep. Three Houses was mostly developed by Koei Tecmo, and they even helped create the trailer for Byleth. So either that's it for Koei Tecmo, or this could be a hint we may get more Koei Tecmo in Pass 2. Ninja Gaiden is a Koei Tecmo series, making Ryu Hayabusa a Koei Tecmo character. The other big leak after Byleth's reveal was coming from Mandy Cannot over on Twitter. Back on October 22nd, Mandy Cannot wrote this: Crash comes directly after the first Challenger Pack. Byleth is Fighter 5 in the first Challenger Pack. These two posts were posted within 5 minutes of one another. Mandy Can also correctly predicted that there would be no character reveal at the Game Awards. So obviously, at first glance, this looks to be pretty major. Mandy Can was saying that Byleth would be our final character for the first Fighter's Pass, and that was totally correctly predicted, and is now saying that Crash Bandicoot will be our next character. However, this being a Twitter leak and the way it all went down, I have to point out the Twitter trick could be what's going on here. So the Twitter trick is essentially that you make a new account over on Twitter, you post a ton of predictions for just about everything. You can say when a direct might be, you can say what character is going to be next, what characters aren't in Smash, things like that. And then you just leave your account basically inactive. You don't follow anybody, you don't have anybody follow you, you just post a bunch of predictions. Then, once something gets revealed, such as Byleth being revealed, you delete all the incorrect predictions and you just leave the correct ones. Then you start following people, people start noticing you, and when they look at your Twitter page, it looks like you've correctly predicted a bunch of stuff. But actually all you did was delete a bunch of the wrong things you predicted. It's not that difficult to say post that Byleth is going to be the final Fighter Pass character, but also post that Cosmos will, Doomguy will, etc., and then just go back and delete like 60 of your posts and just leave the correct one. Now, Mandycan has reached out to me, we've talked privately, and they do seem like a pretty cool person from our interactions, but I can't rule out that Twitter trick, so for now we just have to kind of be neutral on this one and wait it out. See if Mandycan can predict anything now that they're actually having people look at them and watch their Twitter page. If they predict something correctly after this, say if Crash Bandicoot ends up being our next character, then they're definitely worth following, but for now, I'm going to remain neutral. Now, Mandycan is not the first person to claim that Crash Bandicoot is coming to Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Actually, the person who had that Mii costume list, the one that had Goemon and Rocket Grunts, some of the Mii costumes that showed up with Banjo, and also had Mallow, Smithy, and Chocobo on that list, was saying that Crash Bandicoot would be coming to Smash. They also had another list that they sent me and a few other people before Terry got revealed with those Mii costumes, and they wrote me this. You know what? I told myself I wouldn't, but even in my selfishness, I know I need it somewhere I can absolutely trust. It isn't complete, and it isn't whoa, huh, but it is something. Geese Howard, Heyomaru, Nakaruru, classic SNK costumes, Kyo. And I wrote them, oh awesome, is this from the same guy as the first list I assumed, the Goemon list? And they wrote, yeah. Now, obviously, that list did not end up being the Mii costumes that we got alongside Terry, and I did say that this person is only right about 50% of the time with the information they give me. However, Fatman on Ice noticed something really interesting. Okay, I did get permission, and this will blow your minds. I actually talked to the guy who talked to the Mii costume leaker, who talked to him, who talked to PapaGenos. Got it memorized? Okay, so I talked to this guy and he showed me the original message he got for both Mallow Smithy and the Banjo costumes and all the SNK stuff. As a recap, it was said that Terry's costume would be Geese Howard, Heyomaru, Nakaruru, classic SNK costumes, and Kyo. The problem with that is, reading the original message, the guy never said that they were costumes. Costumes was actually a typo and simply meant characters. Why is that important? It wasn't a costume leak, it was a spirit board leak. The person who read this misinterpreted the original message, meaning the leaker wasn't wrong. He was right because he forgot to specify in the message what the list actually was. It was Terry's spirit board, which he got 100%. And if you look at Terry's spirit board, it actually does fit that list perfectly. So if that list wasn't for costumes and just for spirits, it was spot on. Well, this Mii costume person also sent me something the night before Byleth's reveal. They wrote me, tomorrow is not going to be good for Geno. He's not going to be deconfirmed, officially, but morale will be lower than ever. I wrote, Mii costume, question mark? And after Byleth's reveal, there is a bit of a morale hit to Geno because Cuphead got one of those sand-style Mii costumes, and it's very possible Geno could get the same. The Geno Mii costume hasn't returned, but it's very possible it will return, but get that kind of upgrade. Now that we know that's something that seems to be coming with these characters, it's not just exclusive to Sans, it could happen for Geno. After the reveal, I asked them, was Cuphead the Geno thing? I get it. It seems these style Mii costumes might be a common trend with a song attached, and Geno could def be that. And they wrote me, yeah. So supposedly this person knew about the Cuphead sand-style Mii costume before the direct, and knew it was going to hurt the morale for Geno supporters. It does make sense to me. I personally actually really dig these style Mii costumes. I think they're awesome, and I hope we get more of them. I might do a whole video on some predictions for what some future ones might be. And honestly, if that's what ended up happening to Geno, if Geno's final fate was to remain a Mii costume, but at least be upgraded into one of these really awesome ones and actually come with some music and everything, I'd be totally fine with that. Not giving up hope for Geno to become a playable character, but still just saying if this is what happened with Geno, I'd actually be really cool with it and very happy to play a Mii Gunner, Sans, Cuphead-style Mii costume character. Now, this Goemon Rocket Grunts Mii costume leaker isn't the only person who seemed to know about Cuphead beforehand. Actually, someone else told me about Cuphead getting a Sans-style Mii costume months ago. Way back on October 23rd, someone I'd never talked to wrote me this, "Hey Geno," and then showed an image of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate x Cuphead. It's just a blurry image of a screen that says that. They said, well, anyway, have a nice day. I said, thanks. Don't know if I think Cuphead would get in, but thanks for sending me this. And then they said, can't yet confirm what it is yet, but if I had to make a prediction, I think it may be a costume, just like Sans. As you can see by the dates, it takes me a while to actually get through all my direct messages, especially to people who have never written me before. So it wasn't until November 9th and November 10th that they said that, and they initially sent me this on October 23rd. Also interesting of note with the dates, Mandycan also had their prediction for Byleth and Crash being the next character on October 22nd. So if we give the benefit of the doubt to both these people and the information was real, possibly something happened around late October that had things starting to leak out. Maybe some game testers or something got a hold of Smash Ultimate and got some future information. It could line up simply because of the dates. Now, given that this was from someone I had never talked to before, it was just a blurry screenshot of Super Smash Bros. X Cuphead, very easy to fake, and it was basically a my dad works at Nintendo's type situation. I didn't think much of this one, and honestly kind of forgot about it until the Cuphead Sans-style Mii costume showed up. I tried to look back through my DMs to remember this person's name, but I get like hundreds of DMs all the time, and I had totally forgotten what they were called, so I was unfortunately thinking I had lost this person, and I wasn't going to be able to find where this leak was coming from. However, luckily, shortly afterwards, they did message me. On January 22nd, they wrote, "Hey Papa, got some more news for you. Crash is Fighter 6. Haven't got any image proof yet, I've just been told." I wrote them back, "That's what several people are saying, so we will see if it happens. I hope so, Crash would be awesome. And with you getting Cuphead totally right, I think it's super likely." So they're saying the same thing that Mandycan is, saying that Crash is coming next. This is also the same as the Mii costume leaker was saying that Crash Bandicoot's going to be in Smash Ultimate, so we have quite a few people saying Crash is coming to Ultimate. Now, after I was able to dig up their old DM and see what that blurry screenshot of Smash Bros. X Cuphead actually looks like, it is different than the one we got in the Direct. In the Direct, we actually have a black background, whereas the blurry image I was sent has a white background. Now, that's definitely something that could change in editing from October until the actual presentation happened, but it's still worth noting in my opinion. So is Crash Bandicoot coming to Super Smash Bros. Ultimate? Honestly, I'm not sure. We have 3 people here all backing Crash for being a character in the next Fighters Pass, but personally, there's just a lot of strange stuff going on with all 3 of these that I can't be totally certain to completely back that Crash is coming, but it is definitely significant that we have 3 different leakers all saying Crash is coming. Now, before we get off the subject of these Mii costumes, I also want to point out something that was really interesting that was going on with the Ubisoft Mii costumes, specifically Altair. We got a Rabbids Mii costume, and we also got an Altair Mii costume from Assassin's Creed. Both of these come from the company Ubisoft, and Ubisoft already has some content in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate in the form of spirits. What's really strange about the Altair Mii costume was that in the North American Direct, they actually said Super Smash Bros. X Altair, the character themselves. However, in other regions, it said Super Smash Bros. X Assassin's Creed, the actual game series Altair is from. At first, I thought this was probably just some sort of censorship thing with the word assassin. However, when the actual Altair Mii costume showed up in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, the word Assassin's Creed showed up alongside the costume. And even in the background of the boxing ring stage, Richter actually has the word assassin in his little tagline there. Tio over on my Discord wrote, "At the end of my first round of research, I've found that North America is the only region to not use X Assassin's Creed for unknown reasons. Altair used Ezio's Family, a song with no connection to him beyond being from the same series. Said version of Ezio's Family appears to be an original remix. Altair's Mii costume is not based on his in-game model, rather he's based on concept art that isn't used in the actual game, but on a figure they sold for some reason." So that's some pretty strange stuff going on with the Altair Mii costume. Is it possible this is pointing to someone like Ezio showing up as a playable fighter? Or maybe at one point an Assassin's Creed character was planned for Smash? I really don't know. I do know that Nintendo has praised the Assassin's Creed series multiple times. Specifically, I remember them talking about Breath of the Wild having those towers, and that's basically being ripped off from Assassin's Creed. So I know Nintendo is a fan of the series, and Nintendo and Ubisoft are very close. Super Smash Bros. Already has Ubisoft content in it. A lot of people have wanted Rayman for a long time, so potentially the Rayman Spirit could get upgraded into a playable fighter. I'm not sure, but if a Ubisoft character showed up in the next Fighters Pass, I wouldn't be all that surprised. Speaking of companies, I wouldn't be that surprised if they got characters in Smash. Namco's another one, and we had that Tales of series symbol that some people were thinking might show up in Super Smash Bros. Itself. There was this symbol for Tales of that got trademarked, and it looked sort of like it could be the series symbol in Super Smash Bros. However, that symbol has actually shown up elsewhere. Over on my Discord, the Sun wrote, "Here's your Tales of logo." And there it is, celebrating the 25th anniversary of the Tales of series. This isn't to say that someone like Lloyd couldn't get into Super Smash Bros., but it does seem like that series symbol was for this and not for Smash itself. Another interesting thing we had talked about a while back that has now been solved was this data mined image of a new Smash mode. Over on Twitter, @KingBoo for Smash wrote, "At PapaGenos, we finally know what that unused model what was in the code of Smash Ultimate. It's a new tournament mode. It's only available in Japan writing this now. Hopefully some more information soon." And there you can see that image of Incineroar, Fox, and Pit that I used as the image for one of my thumbnails back when this first got data mined. And yeah, that mode is showing up in Japan. Here's the Japanese translated. It says, "If official tournament qualifier is not displayed in the game at this time, please restart your router or access point and check again. If it is still not displayed, please note that the line is determined to be outside Japan and you will not be able to participate in the Smash Bros. SP Online Challenge, held on February 1st. So it appears the mode was for some Japanese-only online tournament, which is pretty neat. Another somewhat interesting thing that happened was that some people thought that they found Sakurai's Switch account. Here it is, supposedly, it had Sakurai playing Minecraft. There's over 2,645 hours played in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and there's a lot of hours for other Switch titles as well. People were thinking if Sakurai was playing Minecraft, potentially Minecraft could get into Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Maybe he's doing research on the game. Over on Twitter, Push Dustin wrote, "I think it's safe to say this isn't Sakurai. There's no way someone can play Xenoblade for 275 hours, Splatoon 2 for over 800 hours, over 200 PlayStation games in a year, Pokemon Sword and Shield for over 200 hours, countless Switch and PC games, and develop Smash all at the same time." And I have to agree with Push here. I think most likely this is not Sakurai's actual Switch account, just someone parading as Sakurai who has a lot of time in a bunch of different games. So now let's talk about what's going on with Doomguy and Geno and that whole Kako Malo video leak. Before I get too deep into things here, one neat thing that's going on with Geno right now is that you can actually use Byleth's stage to sort of recreate that first fight in Mario RPG, and that's pretty cool on the chandeliers here. So Sky Buffalo over on my Discord had a pretty good take on the Kako Malo leak. They said, "The reason why I think Kako Malo is real, the Kako Malo leak popped up early November, right? And it was just 2 Mii costumes. One very interesting fact that got to me during the Byleth presentation is that they said it was recorded in November, and Byleth looked next to done 2 months ago. That leak might have happened around the same time. Not sure where those costumes would be, but them being worked on then doesn't seem too crazy to me because he did straight up talk about the Cuphead Mii costume after its reveal, meaning that shit was good 2 months ago. Mii costumes seem to be done way ahead of time." Essentially, Sky Buffalo is just pointing out the fact that the Byleth video was filmed in November, and it seemed like Byleth and all the Mii costumes that came along with Byleth were likely done around then. So they were probably working on costumes for future characters. Those costumes could very well be the Malo and Cacodemon Mii costumes, as that leak happened around the same time and likely would have been leaked out by like a tester or something. So maybe they were being tested at that time. There was that old interview where Bethesda said they had talked to Nintendo about Smash specifically, so a lot of people have been clinging on to that for a while as evidence that Doomguy could likely be coming to Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Some people were also taking this post from King Zell to possibly be a hint. It says, "It will be when you see it all over the internet. No new Direct until E3. Nintendo is doomed." And some people were thinking that doomed at the end was a hint that Doomguy could show up next E3. But it's also possible his choice of words were just a coincidence here. Over on Twitter, @ItJustBeLikeIt wrote, "Is Doomguy being represented in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate?" And Pete Hines actually responded and said, "I think that would be a question for the Super Smash Bros. Ultimate dev team. This really sounds like what someone under an NDA would say, where he can't really say either way whether or not Doomguy's actually in Smash, and is sort of just deflecting things." However, despite all that evidence and build-up for Doomguy possibly getting into Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, we recently had probably the biggest hit against Doomguy we've gotten so far, and it comes in the form of this interview. "What about the rumors of Doomslayer being in Smash Bros? This was a couple of days before the Byleth announcement. Do you think it could ever happen?" And the response is, "I don't know. We've asked them." You asked them? Yeah. Well, that's how Solid Snake got in. Would they discount it just because of the gore and violence, though? I don't know. You would honestly have to ask them. We've never been approached and said, hey, can Doomguy be in Smash Bros? But we're open-minded if they want to ask. But we hear it all the time from fans. Who would say no? But you did ask them? We've had. I don't even know who talked to who, but we've bantered with them. We have a great relationship with them, though, bringing Doom 2016 to Switch and that kind of stuff. So we have great people over there, but it's one of those things where it's like, wouldn't it be cool? But it's never gone anywhere serious. So we'll see. Now, while we have had companies deflect before, such as Grant Kirkhope saying, don't hold your breath to see Banjo at E3, we had SNK have an interview where they said if they got a character, they'd add like a dog. It was like a joke, and we ended up getting Terry. I even think before Bayonetta got in Smash, there was some stuff said about her never getting into Smash. So unless they're straight up just lying here, basically just deflecting completely, saying Doomguy's not going to be in Smash. This is a pretty big hit against Doomguy because they're talking so much about it. Generally, if someone has like an NDA, they're going to do more of a deflection thing, be short about it, something like that. But this is pretty detailed. They're really saying that things have never gotten serious about getting Doomguy in Smash. So this may actually be the nail in the coffin for Doomguy. For me personally, I'm not giving up hope just yet, but I do think this is the biggest hit against Doomguy we've seen, and honestly the biggest hit against the Kako Mello leak. So we'll just have to wait and see on this one, but yeah, that is a very wordy response with a lot of detail, basically saying Doomguy is not in Smash. So don't get your hopes up too much for Doomguy anymore, but I'm also not losing hope completely. So hopefully this is all just them lying, and they're just deflecting really hard here, but we'll have to just wait and see. And how long will we have to wait to see the next character reveal? Sakurai was saying it might actually be a little while. Over on Twitter, Push Dustin wrote, am I really doing this? Yeah, I got it. We are still preparing things, so it might take some time before the sixth fighter is revealed. Thank you for your understanding. And that was a translation of something Sakurai said. There are, however, quite a few rumors of a direct happening soon. So while it would be really soon after Byleth being revealed to show the next character, it was actually pretty short between Piranha Plant being revealed and Joker being revealed. We didn't get like gameplay of Joker, but the character was known. So it is possible if we get a Nintendo Direct soon here, we could potentially get the first character in the Fighter's Pass revealed. It would make some sense if Nintendo wants to hype that pass up and get people to buy it as early as possible to show us who the first character is going to be. Both Emily and Zippo said that there would be no Direct this week. However, I actually heard a rumor that there might be a Direct next week. Over on my Discord, I wrote, rumor, heard a Nintendo Direct is probably next week from a good source. Just a rumor for now as they aren't certain of it, but the source is a good one. And then later I wrote, the source knew about Assassin's Creed Black Flag coming to Switch early, they knew about Ring Fit before we saw what it was, and they knew Final Fantasy VII was getting a demo and a few other things. It's a good source, but they just heard a Direct next week as a rumor, so I can't back it up any more than they are, even though they have had totally real leaks for a while now. Zippo also wrote, alrighty then, might as well let it out. There are 2 Directs this month. You've already guessed what they obviously are. Not sure of the timing, but that February 20th stuff lines up for Animal Crossing. Please don't flood me. And then Sabi also revealed that in March we're supposed to get a Nindies Direct. So obviously nothing certain here, but given what all these people are saying, it seems pretty likely to me that next week we could be getting a Nintendo Direct, and then we could be getting an Animal Crossing Direct following that, and then a Nindies Direct in March. There's a lot of rumors going around about what stuff could be revealed in these Directs, but I'll save that for another video. We'll keep this one Smash focused. Very recently in a Famitsu article, Sakurai wrote about how he is aware of the fan sentiments about too many Fire Emblem characters and too many sword-using characters in Super Smash Bros., and once again emphasized that Nintendo has chosen the DLC, at least for the first Fighter's Pass. It's still kind of unknown about the second one. Over on my Discord, Masked for Alligator wrote something really interesting about one of the things said in that Famitsu column. Sakurai appears to be discussing something about Fighter Pass Volume 2 in his next bi-weekly column. Could possibly mean a Fighter 6 reveal in the next 2 weeks. Of course, he could just be speaking on the second pass generally. Keep your expectations in check, it's not definitive. And then links an article that was translated by Push Dustin. It says, and at the same time, I announced that we are creating 6th to 11th DLC. I'll write about these in the next column. See you again in the next 2 weeks. And that's Sakurai specifying that he will be talking about the next Fighter's Pass in the next Famitsu column in the next 2 weeks. So while I do think we'll get a Nintendo Direct pretty soon here, I'm not going to be banking on a new character reveal, but it is entirely possible. Again, the time between Piranha Plant being revealed and Joker being revealed was actually only about a month, so that could happen again here with Byleth and the next Fighter Pass. So if we did get a character reveal, who could it be? Could it be Crash, like all those leakers are saying could be next? Could it be Hayabusa, who supposedly might have been pushed back into Fighters Pass 2? Or could it be some other character? Now, I kept talking about Arl for Fighter Pass number 5, and honestly, a lot of her evidence were specifically about her being the end of the Fighters Pass, so a lot of the evidence for her has completely dropped off since. However, there is this interesting thing going on. Sega hosting Puyo Day livestream next month, and this was written in January, so next month would be February. We'll share 24 pieces of news. 24 pieces of news are a lot of separate pieces of news for the Puyo series, so it's possible one of those may have something to do with Smash. Of course, that could just be like a Spirit event or something, but I found it pretty interesting. Alright guys, well that's basically everything I wanted to talk about in this video. Thank you once again for being patient with this video. I know it took a while, but I was in the middle of moving and, setting all this up. Hopefully in the coming weeks here, I will be able to do a lot more videos. Honestly, now that I have this new setup, that's sort of been the goal for a while here. I'll be able to hopefully stream more. There's more videos I already have in mind that I want to do. I want to do something with the predictions for the next 6 characters in the next Fighters Pass. I want to do something with the Sand style Mii costumes, maybe predict some more characters like that. If we do end up getting that Nintendo Direct, I'd love to do a video speculating about all the rumors and things for what might be in that Nintendo Direct. And also I just want to do more general videos. I'd love to do a room tour video now that I have all my stuff out on display. I'd love to do just like streaming and stuff more often. This is the sort of thing I've been wanting to do for a long time, but I just really didn't have the space for. And now that I've moved, hopefully in the coming weeks here, I'll be way more able to do that sort of thing. So hopefully from now on, I'll be far more active on YouTube indefinitely. So look forward to all that. And if you guys have any thoughts or comments about any of the stuff in this video, leave them below. So once again, thank you guys for all the subscribes, all the likes. Really helps out the channel. So if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and do so, or like the video, or leave a comment, whatever you want. Until next time, have a good one.